How much is Whop making now?
Whop is almost making $1 billion a year. Well, people on Whop are making almost $1 billion a year. Um, our revenue is somewhere between $1 and $100 million a year.
That's pretty good.
Yes.
You're probably the most successful person I've had on the podcast at this point.
Wow. I'm honored, but that you think that.
I'm honored. Okay, so I really want to break down Whop because last year when I had you on the podcast, you had a lot of ideas, a big vision. You had a kind of remnants of this product, but now literally everything you talked about last year has now come to life, and your business has like 10, 20x'd, and you've actually created this like huge wedge in the market of the creator economy. Not only is Whop a marketplace, payment processor, you also are a full-blown Discord, apps, courses, community. You can host all of these digital products on your platform. And now it's like a social feed, like kind of like an Instagram, Shopify type of thing. So I'm curious how you got to this point, because 3 years ago, you guys were just sneaker bots. And now you're borderline a social media and on the cusp of a multi-$100 billion business if you execute correctly. So now the stage is set. How do you think about all this?
Yeah, I think people have always told us that we need to stay focused. And maybe some people have said, you guys are doing too much, or what is Whop really? And I think every single time we've been trying to attack a specific problem at hand. So when we first started Whop, we were actually the first sellers on our platform. And we found all these forums on Discord where people were selling little scripts that they made. They sold sneaker bots. So they would sell desktop software, and they would cash app each other and Zelle each other. People were getting scammed. It was a really shitty system. So and we started selling our own software in these groups as well. So what we did was we built Whop, and it was a way that we could sell our software in a way more streamlined way. So that was the first problem that we had tackled when we started. And I think that as we evolved, we kept attacking problem by problem. And when we last spoke, a lot of the problems were around the basics of building an internet business. So, I mean, when we first started Whop, we made it so you could build your store page. You could start accepting payments. You didn't have to get Venmo'd things. And then we started building a customer resolution center when we had people not so happy with their purchase. And we built a lot of dispute protection so that creators didn't get completely screwed when people open disputes. And we just started chiseling away at all these problems. And I think over the past year, what we realized is that the ultimate problem really comes around engagement. People are fighting for attention in today's internet economy. So I would say that when we last spoke, Whop was all about payments and storefront setup and making sure that you could look at who was purchasing your product, kind of like Shopify. And I think that this past year, we've been really lasered on trying to figure out how we can hack engagement for all of the creators who want to make money on our platform. And that's where we get into the social media stuff. And I think when you layer these problems on top of each other, it seems at first glance that it's a really complicated and confusing product. But when you're actually using it and you're going through the flows, it makes a lot of sense that you're going to get a customer, they're going to pay, and then they're in your chat. And then you can talk to them and you can link them with the other people that are also paying. Maybe you can run prizes and run raffles or run giveaways or run videos or give them information that you're selling, and it's all aggregated in one spot. And they obviously have a mobile app. They can get notifications and whatnot, because I think that the journey of relationship really just starts with the purchase. And that's what we needed to figure out at the beginning. But now that we've have a somewhat good system there, it's about what happens after purchase and how do these creators really make a sustainable income and not just make a bunch of money one day and never really figure out how to captivate the audience's attention again.
It's amazing. Like when someone buys a product, now there's immediately a DM with your customer on the platform, and it can be a group DM with your team. Mm-hmm. So now, like, my agency is on Whop. I also sell my coaching and my courses on Whop. And so you guys are creating, in my opinion, this thing that's like giving every creator everything they could need or possibly want to sell to their audience and engage with them directly in one platform. And it's really, this is why people probably say it's complex, but if you think about it, it's kind of like, I always describe it like this like Facebook moment of the creator economy. Like there's these platforms like Discord, there's for gamers. There's other community platforms for education. There's other community platforms for different genres and niches on the internet. But there has not been one like sucks every single community of people and gives them one place with every single tool all of them could use in a cohesive way. And so it seems like you guys are going to win the creator economy.
Well, I think we have a long way to go, and I think we have a lot to prove. But yeah, I would say that we grew up building Shopify stores and Wix stores and WooCommerce and WordPress, and we would go and look on Facebook groups and figure out customers to sell into. We would send them our Shopify link, and we would get some random person's email that we had no idea if they were in the Facebook group, where they came from. And then someone later would comment on a Facebook post saying, I just purchased your product. But there's absolutely no connection between that and the person who actually bought on Shopify. So I think that, yeah, I mean, the internet is extremely fragmented, and people are trying to figure out, do you post on YouTube? Do you post on TikTok? Do you post on X? Do you post on Instagram? Do you make a link tree? Do you make a Hoobie? Do you make a newsletter that maybe your customers will figure out a way to pay you $10 a month for, but then you realize you need 1,000 customers and you're only making $10,000. So I think, it's super fragmented, and in a lot of ways we're trying to make it a little bit easier for not just the creator, but also the consumer, because they don't know what to trust, and they can scroll all day, but I'm not sure that's the best way to consume what's on the internet.
You mentioned trust, and I think that's like one of the biggest problems in the creator economy right now, especially with people who sell courses. Like, I think if there's one thing in the world that's proven to make people's lives better, it's like education and knowledge and informing yourself and growing. But for some reason, everyone who sells a course is like deemed as a scammer. It's like not a respected thing, which probably holds a lot of people back from actually sharing their knowledge with the world. And so you guys seem to be tackling that with the marketplace. Your marketplace is a lot like Amazon, but for digital products. And now they all have public reviews. And you guys are even doing one of the craziest things I've ever seen with the leaderboard, and literally showing how much money people have made in the last 24 hours through their product. So you can literally go on there and see any product, any outcome, anything that people are selling, and see how much money they're making today. And so you can kind of get ideas for your own business as well. So what's the thought process behind the marketplace?
Yeah, so internet's a scary place, and there's a lot of scammers. We've been scammed our whole entire life after 12, 13 years old. So I think that having some validation of who you're buying from, what their track record is, if they actually have made any money, and of course what other customers are saying, those are kind of table stakes. So I think that we aren't necessarily ones to tell people what they should create. But at the end of the day, if there's a good feedback loop you can go and try to scam somebody, but if the customers you're scamming aren't having a good experience, one, we're going to make sure that their money gets back to them. And two, nobody else is going to purchase because the reviews are right there, and the money that you're making is probably going down. So I think that because we know people are going to try to scam people, how can we set up our platform in a way that allows for a feedback loop to be completely transparent on the intentions of the creators? So that's like some of the things we're doing as a platform, but I think that that's kind of like table stakes. So we're going to do those things, and we're going to make sure we continue to iterate on how we take people off the platform and give customers the best possible experience. But I think that more philosophically, if you look at what college is today, there's no main difference other than the historical track record of producing a degree than some random person trying to teach you on the internet. Like, you don't know who your professors are. They actually hire a lot of really shitty professors in universities. And by the way, it costs $70,000 per year, which is a lot, only to find out that a lot of times you don't even get a job after you graduate. So I think at a more philosophical lens, there's like this huge educational realm that has been scamming people in a lot of ways. I went to college, and I think that there's a lot of amazing things that come from college, but the same logic is applied to people that are teaching people things on the internet. And that's just for courses. There's also like people pay financial advisors who literally have no idea what they're talking about at big banks and so on. And I guarantee that the 22-year-old who's super tapped into every single movement that's going on in China right now probably knows a little bit more than the older person at Merrill Lynch who is looking at some basic screen and just following consensus moves on the S&P. So I think there's like a pretty big shift in all of learning and advice and education and information that's being democratized from these larger institutions who are doing absolutely nothing different than the individuals are today. And I think that there's like the illusion of scamming, and then there's actually scamming. And the illusion of scamming, I think that that is something that the world will adjust itself to. But the reality of scamming, I think our platform should protect against.
Absolutely. And you guys are doing refund guarantees across the board, correct?
Yeah. So if you get, well, so we have a dispute resolution center. So kind of like original eBay. We grew up selling a lot of things on eBay. And one of the things we remember pretty well is they had feedback on eBay. And if you got to a certain level of feedback, you got your account shut down. And if a customer ever had a problem with a purchase, similar to PayPal, you go on the platform and you open a dispute on the platform. And when a customer goes on their platform and opens a dispute, the merchant has time to respond. And if they don't respond, then they get a refund. And if they do respond, the customer can either accept or deny. And if it gets escalated, then it'll come to us, and our trust and safety team will make a final decision. And yeah, oftentimes it will result in the customer getting a refund.
So that's a big problem solved in info business, creator business in general. You guys will handle that for people, and you're protecting both sides at the same time. Now, I'm curious then, it's very interesting that you were saying that a lot of schools have bad teachers, and that oftentimes a 22-year-old might be better than even a Wall Street banker. And I do think that's why your marketplace is so key, because just because, let's say, there's a trader who's made the most money trading in the world, he might not actually be the best teacher for that. And there is a subset of people who are actually like really good teachers. And so the marketplace will be like a good filter for who is actually the best at synthesizing information, teaching other people, and making sure they get results. Because then the best products will actually rise to the top. Then people can like actually understand that if I join this group, there's 500 other people based on the reviews that actually got the result that was promised. And so I think that's a really important thing that's not really been possible before in the information world.
Yeah, well, I think that also people have a common misconception that Whop is mostly about education. And Whop is not mostly about education. It just so happens that one of the easier things to get up and running if you're going to start a business is an educational business. But Whop started in software land, and that was from like a productivity lens. How can people use software to purchase e-commerce items? Like that was what Whop really started out as. And all that to say is when we're looking at the customer lens, our goal is to make sure that they're happy with their purchase. And obviously, after you purchase something, if you could snap your fingers and get your money back, everybody would do that. But if we can make sure that the products people are purchasing and the products that are surfaced on the top of our page are the ones that are most likely to give people a satisfaction of what they purchased, that's amazing. So I think it's yeah, I completely agree with you. And the marketplace over time should create this really awesome feedback loop to both protect consumers and sellers, because if you're a consumer and you do come in a chat and you start spamming it and being disrespectful, then that's not really a customer that anybody wants to have in their micro business. So yeah, I agree with you.
The payments thing is so interesting with what you guys have, because you have such a variety of businesses that sell on Whop. Obviously, I'm in like the info world, so that's like what I speak to, but so many different types of businesses sell on Whop: agencies, coaches, consulting, literally gyms could be on Whop, like so many, such a wide variety. But it's because you guys have this like payment layer. It's essentially like anything you could do on Stripe, you can do on Whop. You can even like send your friends money. And so I'm very curious, why was the emphasis put on payments when you guys started this like 3 years ago?
I think that for whatever reason, every single business that we always started always had such an integral payments piece to it, even if it was that fact that we had to actually just go jerry-rig a payment setup and send links out in Facebook, that we just had a pretty good understanding of payments. And I mean, when Stripe came out in like 2011 or whatever, I remember programming and like seeing this magical little pop-up window and being able to input your credit card and just charging a card. And that was really special. And I think that throughout high school and throughout college, we were pretty deep in crypto and payments, Stripe, Braintree, and all the processors. So we just had a pretty good understanding of it. And I don't think that we found a lot of difficulty in setting up a pretty robust payments infrastructure.
It's so nice, dude. I can literally just go on there. Like if I meet anyone in the world who wants to pay me for like an hour of my time, or if I have a client that wants to do like a custom package, I literally, in less than 30 seconds, go to Whop, set the price, recurring one time, whatever it is, and then like instantly have a checkout link, send it to them, get paid in my bank account. I don't know how you guys did that. Like, it seems like that's like a full-blown business in and of itself, but you guys have like all this other stuff on top of it. And so the apps, I love the calendar booking app. I've sold a lot of 1-hour consulting calls with the calendar booking app.
Have you? That's awesome.
I actually have, yeah, tons. So I'm curious, like, what is the vision for apps? Because this is something we talked about last time a little bit, but it's actually starting to be fleshed out. You guys have like over 30 different apps now, and it's pretty much everything I could possibly want to sell as a creator on YouTube. So what's just the thought process there?
Yeah, I think the real long-term idea and vision of apps is that you don't have to be a software developer to create really magical and unique experiences that you can give a user base. And typically, a lot of these things that you're describing, they're not new, right? So calendar bookings, you can of course go to Calendly. I think they even have a payment set up. Chat, we're not the first person to build chat. There's literally hundreds of chat platforms, and you can go and use those platforms for chat. Forums has been done hundreds of times. So those are like table stakes apps. And I think that we need those apps so that there's a baseline of engagement set up and that people can actually engage with other users. You can engage with the creator can engage with the users. And that's like phase one. Phase two is figuring out how we can really hack the engagement of a community so that the creator can drive up their LTV and ultimately have a blossoming community that they can sell more things into and develop relationships with people and have a sustainable business. So those apps are where if you're a developer, you would typically be able to make these things. But because most people are not developers and apps are getting a lot easier to make, and there's a huge AI boom right now, which makes everything easier. We are going to have a lot of really cool mini apps and games and contest apps and trivia apps and whatever specific niches that you can imagine. So if you're at a gym, maybe there's like a weight section app, and you can have contests around who's lifting the most weight, and it's super adaptive UI around that. So that's like a little bit more further out. And these types of apps are really, again, to hack the engagement and to give the creator all these different tools that they would have to normally be a software developer for. To see your daily active users on your own platform, that's not a normal thing. And we obviously have that now in our dashboard that everybody can look at. So it's just bringing the power of developers, what it feels like to be a developer, to people that are not developers.
So since software has gotten like so easy to develop with AI, you're able to build like all these different apps. And it's almost like you've like white labeled these apps for people to sell to their audience. And it's like quite literally every possible app a creator could want to sell. It feels like you're completely replacing the need for Zapier for me, because I can do my newsletter, I can take my payments, I can get literally any app, I can message my team, I can message anyone on the platform. Like I can just do everything here. Is the App Store going to be opened up to like other developers, like kind of like Shopify's App Store, where you can, like a person, like we've developed an app for one of my friends who's a big creator, and it's like a Shopify AI store builder, and that's on the App Store of Shopify, and then he sells that, and that's a multi-$7 million or multi-million-dollar business. So are people going to be able to build apps and then sell them to creators on Whop, or what's the vision there?
Yeah, so we have a public app development portal right now. It's pretty shitty, but it does exist. And long term, I'm extremely passionate about supporting developers make income, because that's what I did my entire childhood. And I think developers are pretty creative, and a lot of times they just lack the clarity on exactly what to build and maybe how they can get distribution to it. So absolutely, we're going to bet big on the developer ecosystem. And I think that we're still in very early stages, like I said, of building these table stakes apps and really making sure that there's at least a foundation to do the basic things that you can do on other platforms. But yeah, you should definitely not need Zapier anymore. And I think the other thing to add maybe is that because we've grown up on the internet and been so chronically addicted to every single thing since Instagram when it came out, we've gotten a pretty good grip on what types of apps we can bring back to the internet. And those are things like HQ Trivia, like Yik Yak. There was Stumble Upon back in the day. And I think that there's Ask FM and all these little quirky things that drove so much engagement that have completely fallen off the internet because they lack the network. And these were all siloed. Omegle, right? Like imagine being able to randomly meet somebody who's actually interested in the same topic as you. Like that's pretty cool. And I think there's a lot of connection that can come from that. It's a lot more exciting than just endlessly scrolling on an Instagram feed. So we're going to bring back all these legacy apps, I would say, that have kind of fallen off the beaten path.
So how does the feed come into this? Because you have all of the apps, you have payments, you have a marketplace, but you guys are also doing this like feed where all of like the most engaged with apps are like on a home feed, like a Twitter feed or something. Like, what is this thought process behind this? Because this is where I kind of get lost.
So we don't want people to be in one Whop. We want people to be in 100 Whops. And the reason why that is because Whops should be very much focused on one problem that they're trying to solve. A company that tries to solve a bunch of problems isn't solving any problems. And when that happens, there's a lot more Whops that you should be in, because life is full of problems. and you should be in all these different types of Whops. And what we found is that people are naturally used to scrolling on something. But what we've also found is that a lot of the platforms today, they don't actually have a detail view when you're scrolling. So if you think about Instagram, you're really watching. As a user on Instagram, you're watching. You're not really playing a game. In WAP land, all the apps, they can surface content and activity to the feed, but when you click in one, you're actually going to be playing, and you're going to be watching an actual video, taking a quiz, talking to people, playing a game, doing a contest, all these different things. So the feed is really just to bring about what's relevant in all these communities or groups that you're in, and surface it in a traditional feed.
Yeah, that's so cool. So basically, like if you're in like 5 different Discord servers, instead of having to like jump into each one, scroll, go to all the different channels, it's just like the 3 or 4 most engaged with posts from all the communities that you're in are like on your feed.
Correct.
So that way you can just like kind of check really quickly.
Correct.
This kind of makes like a full-blown social network in a way, because you have the DMs, they have profiles, there's a feed. Is that like the vision for it?
Yeah, I think a lot of this is I think like people have gotten in the habit that all the social media platforms, when they first came out, they were very social, right? Like, so you message your friends, you knew your friends on Facebook. And then as the influencer era started to grow, you had all of a sudden you weren't following any of your friends. You're only following people that you don't know. And then the next thing that you notice is that they're all trying to sell you shit. And I think that when Facebook first started, their goal was obviously to connect everybody. And now that they connected everybody, there isn't really a way to conduct transactions. But in reality, commerce is actually the bedrock of connection. And I think that, yes, we could be a social network, called a social network because we have a lot of social features, but I think that we're really a commerce platform. But we just know that the best way to build a business is actual connection, and really understanding who your customers are. Your customers have a sense of who you are, and it feels like a ancient market that you go to every single day, and you really know everybody in the stands, and you trust them, and you also know other people that are buying from them. It's an era of specialization.
It's like a farmer's market, or like a
farmer's market's a great word,
or a digital mall or something.
And I guess the thing I'd add is, like, do people go to the market and is everybody silent? Like, no, not at all. People are talking, right? Like, so is that a social media platform or is it a market? And I think that it's a market first and foremost. And one of the key parts of a market is that people can talk about what they want to buy, and they can talk about how their purchase was, and they can talk and do pottery together if they just purchase pots. So it's connection is important if you're building a market.
The money focus is so interesting to me, because like this is kind of something that other platforms like view as taboo, or like it's really not been a thing. But like you're literally putting front and center how much people are making on the platform. You even have like a different leaderboard for different types of products or different types of ways people are making money. Like there's an affiliate leaderboard. So not the creators, but actually people who are just making money referring the actual products on the marketplace to other people. And you can see a leaderboard there. It's like a really gamified, transparent experience. So I'm very curious on your thought process behind just putting the money front and center.
Yeah, I think that people need to have some type of scoreboard in some ways, and I think that the real reason for that is because it's very hard to know if someone's legit, and you don't really know if someone is completely bullshitting everybody, or they actually have some type of success to back it up. And I think that, I mean, our whole goal is to make people money. So if we can't establish a very clear way that people know how they're progressing on that journey, then we're not doing our job right.
It's very interesting because every YouTuber, especially in my world, like first thing they're saying in their first 30 seconds of their video is how much they made. I made this amount in the last 2 years in e-commerce or something. And so this seems kind of like the evolution of that, where it's like in the near future, if you're not showing that publicly, it's going to be a red flag. And it's almost like the marketplace will be forcing that upon people. Is that...
Yeah, I mean, would you rather have 1 million followers or $1 million?
That is 100% verified because it's based by the platform.
Right. And I think most people would rather have $1 million. And I think that most people today have 1 million followers and not $1 million. And that's pretty crazy. So, yeah, I think the goal is about money. It's not about some arbitrary number that doesn't actually mean anything.
So on Whop, your followers is basically just how much money you've made.
Correct.
That is crazy, bro. That is so crazy to think about. Have people had like, that is actually so crazy. But I like, this literally feels like we're on the cusp of like a whole new era of the internet, if this is as big as you like, what is your vision? Like, how big do you think this actually is?
I think that most people don't even understand that. Well, actually, it's funny because I think I have a real answer for you, and it's that global GDP is $100 trillion, and the amount of digital internet payments that contribute to that is way less than you might think. In the U.S., digital internet payments only make up 10% of the GDP. So that, all that to say is like, I think the internet is still really weirdly early, and that people are about to undergo massive change in work. And I mean, you already have more businesses and more freelancers than ever. You have more layoffs than ever. You have Elon's coming in. He's about to fire 80% of the government. And that's like a pretty meaningful amount of jobs just in the US alone. And now that you have all these other countries that can also tap into the internet economy and take advantage of purchase power in the US, you have so many people that are basically waiting for something like this. So how big do I think like it can get? I mean, I don't even know if anybody knows how big the internet can be when you really have a couple billion people in a room and you let them all pay each other.
But you're building for that scale, like that. You're literally making the product for the entire gig economy.
Yeah.
And with AI taking probably a lot of people's jobs by 2030, the creator economy is only going to get bigger. I feel like a lot of people will view like a little creator business as like a good way to make a few $3,000-$4,000 a month.
Totally. I think so too. I think it really unlocks a lot of time. And I think that I'm not as bullish on AI just making it so that nobody has to think anymore. I don't know. I some of my smart friends say otherwise, but I still think that there's a lot of human ingenuity that other people want to pay for. So I'm pretty bullish on humans, and I think that people can be way more creative than they think. And when you don't have a job, and there's a place you can go to quickly spin up a store and offer some type of value, I think that it's pretty exciting for people. So I think it can get really big, and we're definitely building with that in mind. We want to build a really impactful platform, and we make long-term decisions.
So that's something I've known you for like probably 2.5, 3 years now. And that's one thing I always try to give you guys as much feedback as possible. You guys are so aggressive with talking to creators about how to make the platform better, which I really admire. But we've had a lot of pushback in our days. And one thing I've always noticed is that you never sacrifice the short term. You never sacrifice the short-term product for the long-term vision. Most recently, I think we were arguing about emails. Like, I think I have this belief that like 25% of all my sales come from email. And so Whop should be making a full-blown email service provider for me. And you have a very specific point of view on that we have argued about for hours. And I'm curious where that is, like, why you're thinking that way.
I think, I mean, a lot of, if you really reduce that to the problem, like, you want more sales. Mm-hmm. And the way I see it is that I'm looking at my phone and looking at my email. And if I got an email and it said, hey, did you know you could buy this? Or even in a much more subtle way, I'm never getting sold in an email. And I look at my own customer experience as a pretty high weight in what we should build for our platform. And I mean, we have a saying that's like, be your own customer. And I think a lot of that is like, what do I actually want to get sold into as a customer? And it's not email. I totally get that people want a way to contact and connect with old customers, new customers, existing customers, and so on. But email is not the place to do that. I just don't think that people get excited when they get an email. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe this personal touch that this creator had sending me an email to go buy some more shit from them. Like, I think there's a lot of better ways that we can do that. And that's what I would say.
It's almost like your thought process is betting on that everyone's going to be on the platform. Like, if we make the most engaging app, they're going to be on this platform anyways. And so an email is like not a waste of time, but like they're just going to, why not just make the DMing feature better so you can talk to your customer on the app directly?
Right. And yeah, I think actually one way to say it, I was with one of the big, one of the big website builders that you'd probably know of, one of the founders of that. And he said that their business took over because it provided a domain, a website, and an email. And that's the traditional set of tools that people think they need to run a business. But in reality, those are actually pretty complicated and annoying for everybody involved. If you want to start a business, do you really think that the average person is going to go to a domain provider, buy a domain, hook up the DNS to another website, and then set up a custom email on G Suite, or even if they provide all of it in one roof, great. The UI is all convoluted, it's all messy, and they have to add another email to their phone, and when they get a new phone, they have to sign in all these emails again. That's not a good experience just because it's the accepted consensus today. So I think in a lot of ways, Whop actually replaces the domain, email, and website. And those are things that every single business that I've ever started with Cameron have required those three things.
Yeah, and now you guys just launched this new mobile app, and you can do literally all of that. And like, I tried it out for like 60 seconds, and I had a full-blown product link ready to take payments, a store page ready to send people, and an actual product created, essentially, all from my phone.
That's exciting.
That is very exciting. Okay, so there's so many different ways to like make money on the platform, and just sticking with this long-term vision, you guys have mentioned to me that you're trying to build for like physical businesses as well, like a gym or an apartment or something. And like I see you're thinking so many years ahead. Is this like another reason like why you don't like make the short-term decisions to bring emails, because like certain subsets of like, okay, course creators want emails, but like we're building for gyms, apartments, these other physical businesses? Or what's your thought process on where this could be going?
Yeah, well, I think also on the email point, like we actually have emails, and
yeah, thank you for
get,
that.
and your customers automatically get an email when you make a forum post, for example. Mm-hmm. But there's just not like an email editor, and the reason again is because most people, they don't want to go and like even if they say they want to go and customize their emails, I don't think they actually like that's a kind of an I don't want as a business owner, I do not want to do that. That's a really annoying thing to do. So I guess I'll just say that on the email point. But as far as where Whop goes, when you look at Whop, again, if you think about it as a couple components, you have a website, you have no need for a domain, you don't really have any need for email, and that's the stack of every single business that's used today. So if you're a coffee shop, you're on Yelp, you have a Shopify that you sell your beans on, you have an Instagram page, you probably have a couple other social platforms, and then you have a Square reader that you're tapping your phone on. You have no idea who your customers are. When a customer's coming up, you don't know if it's their birthday, and it'd be pretty awesome to say, hey, Jeff, happy birthday. Here's a free coffee. And then if they buy something on your Shopify, you have no idea if that's the same person who has also come in every single day for the past 2 months. And it's all disconnected. So I don't actually think there's a whole lot of differences that are required to support some of these businesses. And I mean, obviously we're going to have to make a little bit of adjustments here and there, but even rent payments, like most portals where you go and pay rent, especially in New York where we are, they're pretty shitty. Mm-hmm. You have like a weird help desk that nobody knows how to use, and when something doesn't work in your apartment, you have some shitty forum that looks like it's a Craigslist that you can maybe go and sell shit if you're moving out on with all the other neighbors in it. You have to sometimes wire money. Maybe you can pay by you type in your routing and account number to pay, or maybe you have to give a check. You don't really understand if the building's actually legit and good before you sign a 12-month lease. And I think a lot of these problems are solved with pretty basic things. I mean, if you're an owner of a residential building, you can literally spawn a group chat with all the residents in a couple of seconds. You can accept Bitcoin for rent. Like, that's kind of crazy. You can accept Apple Pay, and you can buy now, pay later. You can do so many different things that is pretty messy right now. So I don't actually think there's a lot of difference between, again, just website, email, and domain being eradicated in our context for these businesses.
Yeah, because you have like all these like 30, you have like these 30 apps that are all like basic functions. And so like a gym could do their gym memberships. They could check in at the desk with one of the apps. They could do an event schedule if they want to do pizza on Fridays. They can message any members directly. Like there's just a direct line of communication and the payments. And it's just literally every possible thing.
I'm sure gyms would probably like it if they could all of a sudden let any of their current people refer a friend and make money. Like that's pretty crazy. They all have affiliate programs, but they're like, there's some random person at the desk with a pamphlet that's multiple pages long. And I went to a spa a couple weeks ago, and they had a mess of QR codes on their desk, and they had one QR code that was like, join our membership to get a free session each month. And it's like it's insane how shitty and clunky that process is. So they're obviously leaning into it. I went to a wine store a couple weeks ago, and they had to join the community and get a free wine bottle each month. And I asked them if they had a group chat for their community, and they said, "Oh, that's a great idea, but no, we just actually manually add everybody to our close friends' Instagram story, and that's how they communicate." So like, yeah, I don't think there's actually that big of a jump to get to some of these physical businesses, and I'm pretty excited to try it.
Yeah, it's like everyone says to build an email list because you own your customer. But if they just joined a Whop, not only do you get their email, but now they're in your Whop and you can talk to them forever,
Exactly.
And you can talk to them with through a text.
Exactly.
You can literally send them money. Like it's
Exactly.
pretty nuts, all these different pieces. And like I will say, one, the affiliate stuff is so cool, and I want to talk about that in a little bit. But I just want to take a step back and like, how the heck did you end up here in this vision? Because 3 years ago, like I said earlier, you guys were like a sneaker bot trading thing, and then you went into like this NFT Discord bot, and then you went into like Discord payment bots, and there was a marketplace, and it kind of like slowly but surely you just like piece this together to now there's a huge wedge in the.
Yeah, I think it's worth noting that I don't know how much we've ever quote unquote chosen our niches that we're serving. It's always been people coming to the platform and getting creative with what they have to offer, and someone makes a bunch of money, and then everybody kind of copies that person. So I don't actually know how much we were like, oh, let's go into trading, or let's go into sports betting, or let's go into some of these more popular trends in social media right now. I think it's kind of natural. If you're going to scroll on TikTok and you only see people betting on sports, then all of a sudden someone to say, oh wait, I can actually make money on this, as opposed to just posting endlessly on TikTok and watching my follower account go up, which doesn't actually do anything for me. And that I think is what happens more often than not. But maybe to answer your question a different way, I think that, again, like I met Cameron when we were 13 years old in a Facebook group, and we basically spent all of our life building a Shopify website, finding a Facebook group, selling that Facebook group things we built on Shopify. And I think we just know how easy that is to do. And when we put it all together in a streamlined product, we can bring that to people that don't know how easy that is, and they can make money. So I think we have a very deep history of hanging out online and getting to know all the different platforms, getting to know all the payment stuff, and understanding how engagement really works, and then trying to parlay all that into a platform that we would really love to use ourselves, and then leaving it up to people to see what they create.
It's just such a cool platform, dude. Back to the affiliate links. Like the affiliate links are now at the bottom of every single store page. So for any creator business, any gym, anybody who sells on Whop, whether even an agency, if you just want to do like a 20% referral, if someone refers a customer, anybody can just find an affiliate link at the bottom of your store page, and custom percentages, it's public. You even went a step further and added like content folders. So a lot of, I don't know, I'm sure this is pretty well known now, but Andrew Tate became the most famous person in the world through this little content distribution system. He just had 1,000 people taking his content and reposting it with the incentive of an affiliate link. And now that's just like built into the product. I can post all of my shorts I can post this podcast in there. People can clip it up. And then if I have a product to sell, use my content, put that link in the bio and make money themselves. And there's a leaderboard for them too, which is crazy. So it's like really the make money app. Like you just go on to Whop if you want to make money.
Which sounds like a huge, which doesn't sound like it would be true, but that's our goal. And if we're not doing a good job with that, then you can see on our homepage now. So I think it's kind of funny.
I mean, that's just a ballsy move, like to put how much money people are making on the homepage and on each one of their cards. Like it is super interesting because creators are just going to go on there and now just look what is a hot offer right now. What's working?
I mean, I think it's like, also, if you don't want that to show up, you can of course opt out and not have that show up. But I think I don't understand why. I just think it's back to the vanity metrics of followers. Like nobody cares about that anymore. They want to know if you're a real business that's operating.
And how much influence you actually have essentially
Yeah.
is a correlation to that. That is so interesting because it is much more like intriguing. Like instead of just like a sales graphic on your marketplace store, it's just like as a creator, you just want to go see who's making money today. What are they selling?
Mm-hmm,
You can make
mm-hmm.
$100,000 a day doing this. Like literally two people today were fighting for the number one spot, and they're both doing hundreds of thousands in a day.
It's crazy.
Like it was like 112 to 109, and you could. I wonder if that like encouraged them to like push harder if they
Yeah.
saw that. And then they have a Whop ranking overall too.
Yeah.
It's just a fucking new era, bro. Okay, so I will say, you might be one of the most connected people I've ever interacted with. Like, you casually name drop, not name drop, but you casually are just like around some of the coolest people that probably give you some of the best guidance in the world. You have a lot of advisors. Is this something that's like encouraged by your investors? Like, is this something that you like pursued yourself? Because you don't have to have like you give. I'm sure you give these people like a little bit of equity or something for their guidance. Is this something that you do consciously, or is this like a normal thing in the VC world?
I'm not sure how other companies do it, but for me, I love to learn so much, and I feel like I've moved around so much as a kid, and I always got to meet new people and hear their perspective, and I really value the stories that people have if they have something that I haven't seen yet. And I definitely get a lot of help from the people that we already have supporting us, in that they introduce me to other people that they think we should meet, and so on. But I think that I would say it comes down to I love to learn and I love to meet people who have cool insight. And even when we have Uber Eats drivers come in, and we'll stop them and ask them about our product and what they think of our new text. And I talked to a FedEx guy yesterday, and he signed up on Whop. So I think it's like, I don't necessarily know if it's constrained just to quote unquote successful people. I'll talk to a homeless guy for like an hour, like people in the elevator. And I just like to meet people and learn where they're coming from and learn what problems they're facing. And I think it's pretty fun for me to do that.
So one thing I've noticed about a lot of the people on your team is that super developer focused, like heavy team, like a lot of really quality engineers just in a big room over there. And something I've noticed is how quickly things get done. I think I saw at one of the town halls that you had this graph of how many like different products people ship. And then same thing with like bugs. Like, how do you guys go about organizing like fixing bugs or shipping product?
Yes, I think that our product is so vast and so wide that it's very hard to maintain. And that sometimes leaves a lot of bugs in our product. And we obviously try to test things, and sometimes we prioritize speed. And that's obviously to make sure that customers can use the things that we're creating as soon as possible. And we're pretty hard on ourselves about how fast we're shipping. And that spirit, I think, is really, really important to have for a consumer product, because we don't actually know if something will work. We have to ship it, try it, and then very, very, very quickly iterate on it. And that's pretty prone to bugs. So I think, I mean, I don't think we figured out necessarily how to do it perfectly yet, but what we do is we have a big list of things that need to get done, and on some period right now we're releasing a lot of things, so we have a pretty ironed out list of bugs and enhancements that have come in from customers, come in from us as we use it, and some have come in from crash reports and so on. But generally we'll sit and think about what we want to ship, and people will own these different initiatives and projects and build them. So I think we have a lot of bugs, and that's a big focus of ours right now, is to polish the things we have and not necessarily continue to make it wider, although we obviously will make it wider and add more exciting functionality to our platform. But I think that we're in like a weird spot right now because we have a skeleton, not a weird spot, we're in a great spot right now because we have a skeleton there, we have all the frames in, and now it's just a little bit of polish that's going to take us a long way.
You guys are at a pretty huge scale. Like, you have 80 employees. You have one of the most insane offices I've ever seen. I think you're getting the whole floor now. Like, you're about to have 4 times bigger office. How does this compare to like 2 years ago?
I think it's the same type of energy. It's way different problems that are happening. I mean, 2 years ago, I was programming all day. And I mean, part of me wishes I was still doing that. I've been spending a lot of time in engineering room the past week or so, and it's so much fun. So I think that 2 years ago, same energy. We were a lot of ways same spirit. Let's ship, give things to customers, ask what they think. Yes, it'll have bugs, but we'll quickly fix them very, very fast. Customers suggest something, we'll jump on it, and I'll manually message them and say, hey, just fix this for you, or hey, just add this. And I think now it's hard to align everybody on one thing when there's so many people and when there's so many different things going on. But it's exciting as hell, and I am a very adventurous person, and I love to look at uncharted territory. And I think that we're definitely on the right track, and I'm learning a ton each day, and I don't know what else to add.
I'm very curious. You guys if I look at the product now that I'm thinking about it, it feels like you, in my mind, built things backwards, but that's probably my flaw in thinking. Like, when I talk to you, you have like the most, like, I don't mean this in a bad way, but stereotypical like tech founder, Y Combinator type of general advice. Not saying that that's like, huh?
How could you?
Is that insulting?
No,
I'm sorry.
I'm
Okay. But like, you have like the philosophy of like the tech elites, and I guess I mean, you're attempting to build a multi-$100 billion business, I'm assuming. And so I'm very curious, because you built like the payment infrastructure, and then you built the dispute resolution and customer service. Like, you had that stuff down. Like it takes 38 seconds or something like that, I think Cameron told me, for someone to reply to a support message on Whop. And it's like, these are like very difficult, not like objective problems to solve. And it seems like you like really focus on building that infrastructure first before building the flashy apps or the store pages or anything like that. Like, and you're so product focused. Like, you are like developing yourself so much of this product in the weeds, constantly like critiquing the way everything feels. So is this just like, to you, like the innate way? For me as a creator, I just like making videos and getting eyeballs and stuff, so it's fun. But like, is the product focus like an innate thing for you? Was this like something you learned early on, or like, where does this come from for you?
Yeah, I think even outside of product, it's like I think Cam and I just really love the best, most spectacular things of life. And when we go and stay at a hotel and there's bad customer support or service, it's pretty obvious. And I think that's not how that's not what we want to stand for. We want everything to be the absolute best. That means that we have an amazing engine to ship product. We have A+ customer support. We have amazing design, and obviously we have got ways to go on everything. But I think that the mentality of like, it's day zero, day one, and we aren't shit yet, I think is pretty helpful in that. And that leads into product, of course. It's like, I'm staring at the product, and I have built so many apps before, and I've used so many different products that I kind of have a good idea, I think, of what the bar is. And every time we ship something, it's a new bar, and it's like, well, how is this the greatest thing that we've ever seen before? And if it's not, let's go back to the drawing board and figure out how we can make it so. And then when you put all these things together, then it's like, wait, how do they just do that? And it's just literally just being obsessed with pushing the limit on every single detail that is there, always.
So I'm curious what the root of that is.
I honestly think it's just how much that, like, I'm going to speak personally. I've seen a lot of things in my life, I would say. I moved around so much when I was younger. My parents sent me to China when I was younger. I lived in Singapore to work. I went to NYU. I studied abroad in Paris. I went to I didn't grow up wealthy at all. My parents were in the military before I was born. My dad was a doctor. Mom was a nurse, and moved around a lot. I went to like a pretty inner city middle school. Then I went to a really prestigious private high school. And I'm very grateful for my parents for putting me through that. So I guess all that to say is, like, I've just seen such a spectrum of experiences that I think give me a pretty good benchmark on what is great.
So you just know what greatness looks like, and you want to just make something great yourself because of that.
I think so. Yeah, I think I grew up jailbreaking my iPod Touch and iPhone and watching all the Apple videos. Pretty cliche, but that's definitely real. And then getting to watch Instagram grow and Snapchat grow and Facebook grow and Stripe grow and Braintree grow, Shopify grow. and paying pretty close attention to that, and just like Amazon grow and Robinhood grow, and these are all companies that I very much look up to, and just watching what they went through, and hearing stories and being pretty close to the ground as they've been growing the last 10 years. So I think I just have some idea of what it takes to get to that scale.
And have you always had the self-belief that you could do that, like build that level of company?
I don't know. I don't necessarily think like that. I think that in like when you compress all of the things you have to do, it becomes not so hard. So I think I have like a pretty weird look on these things where it's like, that doesn't actually seem that hard in a lot of ways. And when you like, I'm not every day thinking like, okay, how are we going to be as big as Instagram? Like that's not what I'm thinking about. I'm like, what do we have to do today? Let's solve this. And then does this match our 5-year plan? And if so, great. If not, let's try to reject it a little bit and continue to deliver the value to customers and just make it all about that. So I mean, can I do it? Like, I'm trying. I'm pretty confident in myself. I think I'm pretty resourceful, and you can drop me in a lot of places, and hopefully I'll be fine. Yeah.
It does make it's observing from afar. It like doesn't make sense to me how you got here, but when you say it like that, it's like you're just showing up today, doing the best thing you can do to give this customer the best experience today, and then you're building for them, taking their feedback and building for what's the next thing they need tomorrow. And then over time, you've built all these little different pieces that now tie together perfectly into an actual huge vision for that same person. But that's because you were still focused on that one type of customer and constantly building for them and making sure they were having a good time.
Exactly. And a lot of times that customer is myself.
Wow. So when you came up with this concept, you guys raised money like 3 years ago, correct? 2 years ago for the first time?
For the first time, yeah.
Was
yeah.
the pitch way different? Or was the 5-year plan?
That's a good question. When we first raised money, we had an acquisition offer from another company that just raised a lot of money. We were bootstrapped. We didn't have any money at all. And the pitch is like, it was like we have this sneaker bot marketplace, and people are buying aggressively, like it's growing pretty fast. And I don't think that our first investors really they weren't like, what's your 10-year vision and like how are you gonna get there? It was more like, you guys are crazy, I like you guys, let's figure out how we can work together. And then like we met Peter Thiel, and that was, he was asking the most simple questions ever. It was pretty awesome. It's just like, what makes you guys different, and like, what do you guys want to build? And I think that they thought that we were a good fit to solve this problem given our background. And I guess the problem we were pitching was, it wasn't as far off as you'd imagine. I mean, I think that we wanted to have things like in-game currency to be sold in our marketplace, and really build like more software tools, I think was the intention. But like I said earlier, I don't think that we've ever tried to tell people what to sell on our platform. And we've always stuck to building the rails and making sure that the infra is good, so that people can create what they want. And yeah, I'm not going to lie to you and say that 3 years ago we were like, let's build a platform that you can go on and set up a business in a couple, maybe a minute or so from your phone. But the ethos was certainly there.
So it was like still just a marketplace with payment infrastructure.
I'm trying to think of the original. It was definitely like digital Amazon was a phrase we used. The other phrases were, I think our first tagline was like, damn, that's a good question. Marketplace for cool internet products, like silly taglines. And to be honest, nobody really knew what we did. And I think only now are they even remotely starting to get it. And I mean, for some people obviously are closer from the investor side, and they definitely get it, and they're very, very excited about this and supportive of us. But I actually don't think people did understand it for a while.
Hopefully I can help with that.
Yeah. Marketing's never been our thing.
Is there actually a product that like wouldn't make sense to be on the marketplace now?
Oh, yeah, we take like hundreds of products off every single week.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for anything that breaks our terms. So like you can't sell illegal shit, no NSFW. We're pretty like we have daily review of all the products, and they get removed. So
I've seen that you
definitely.
guys have had like athletic greens on the marketplace. Is that like, do you plan on going to have like physical products actually too, or is that like
Yeah,
something
well,
you're?
athletic. Yeah, so I mean, totally. I think that all the D2C brands are doing exactly what I said, which is they have a Shopify store that actually isn't that good, and it's confusing to have so many different products on it. Just like sell your product, and then they Zapier all these people into some random Facebook group, and it's a nightmare. So I'm actually really bullish on physical products, and I think that I think we can improve that whole business line pretty significantly.
Would you categorize everyone as a creator? Like that's like on Whop, like it's like everything a creator could possibly want to sell, whether it's merch, physical product, digital product.
Yeah, I mean, our goal is to support all the business types. Like people have a different knack for different things. So some people are really good at making content. Some people are really good at trading crypto. Some people are really good at surfacing jobs from random corners of the internet. Some people are really good at booking travel. Some people are really good at finding VAs. Some people are really good at running a gym. And that person who runs a gym probably isn't good at programming software, but that doesn't mean they both can't be creators. So that's the word we've chosen. And I think that during COVID, that was like a pretty taboo. Like, oh, I'm not a creator. I'm not going to go make dancing videos on TikTok. But I think that nowadays it's gotten a little bit more ubiquitous in that people are just creating value for other people.
Yeah, I will say one of the coolest things about that is not only is that who's on your platform, but also like half the people here in your office are creators, have made money online. Like there's a lot of people out there who literally had made millions of dollars online in their 20s, and now they're joining and working here. How is that happening? How are you getting these literally 20-year-old millionaire cracked kids to come work here?
I think it's more fun to work with other people than to work alone. And I think that I mean, a lot of people have Whops here internally, and there's no better way to build a product than to use a product every single day that you're building. And that's like one of our core operating principles. And I think people will see that. Like they see how much impact they can make when they come from the space and they come from using our product, and they come from understanding our ethos, and now actually getting to take that product and do something with it. And I think that's like a pretty inspiring and fulfilling thing to do.
Do you actually do you encourage your employees to have?
Yes,
Whops?
we have a leaderboard, and we do contests on who makes the most money internally. But I think it's weird because like everybody's so damn busy that nobody really has a lot of time to do it. I think that we'll see that a lot more next year. But I mean, we're generally in like war mode so that everybody else can make a lot of money. And we'll figure out ourselves a little bit later, is how I like to maybe think about it, especially for myself. Cause like, I mean, in theory, if I wasn't doing this, I would definitely be building Whops or the equivalent of them. So I think one day we can all sail off in the sunset and Whop is fully feature complete, and maybe that will never happen. But but yeah, if someone wants to make a Whop, and people have Whops, and I think some people make a lot of money on their Whop.
And they work here. That's so crazy to me. That's so interesting. But Whop is your retirement plan. You're building the product that you can sail off into the sunset.
Yep.
And just
Exactly.
make 50 grand a month online.
Exactly.
Well, you just have to finish it.
Have to finish it.
You got 50
Nowhere
years.
near complete.
Okay, then do you feel like you're building towards something? Like, is there something you wanted to do in your life that you're like, this is like a means to that? Or is this like, I know you're very caught up in your day to day, obviously, but like, do you have like a deeper thing that you want to explore in your life?
Yeah, well, I mean, okay, wow. I think my life has always been about, in some ways, productivity, I would say. And productivity is about time, which is like saving people time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's my life purpose, is to save people time. And if you think about what people spend their time on today, they spend their time working, commuting, and sleeping. That's basically it. So I think I'd like to solve those things. And I'm pretty passionate about, obviously, like work. I think that there's so much room to innovate on work, and that's obviously what Whop is all about. More esoteric, I think I love flight and aviation, and you were hanging out this weekend and flying my little plane. But I love that stuff, and that's really fascinating for me. So Travel's pretty interesting. But I'm like really lasered right now on Whop stuff. And I think that there's just so much that's going to happen over the next 3 to 5 years that is going to basically make Whop like the most obvious in hindsight invention. And that's all I'm focused on right now.
You're not really thinking about future ventures, but you
No,
would probably get in
not
transportation.
really.
Like you would actually like would you
I
Elon it and just go like.
I don't think I can. I don't think about that much. I think it's really important to focus, and if something can expedite our mission related to WAP, then great. I'll try to do it, but otherwise, I don't. I'm going to finish out this mission like strong. Like we are going to make people a lot of money, which is what our mission is. It's make people a lot of money, and that's what I'm here to do. Mm-hmm. So that's it.
Why did you go the VC route? Why did you raise money?
I think that because I think that it's like why do we raise money? I think we just like to go big, and I just don't think we can actually do the same things if we don't raise money. And I don't think that we were the type to want to go to like Bali and be on our computers and chill on the beach and just work on our little projects. I think that it was really fun growing up watching all the how much impact these companies made, and I think that we wanted to build something really massive. And you definitely don't need VC money for that, but when you get a lot of support from great people, and you can kind of get expedited on like having some amazing expert who built some massive platform, get to speak with them and learn a lot of the mistakes that they made. I think it's pretty invaluable. And I haven't seen quite yet any negatives of doing it. I think given that we have so much pressure, like we're our biggest critics, and because of that, it's a little bit hard to get out critiqued. I think, and we love the criticism. Like that's like the most exciting thing ever. And I think there's part of that, like the accountability system is pretty awesome. But I think we just want to go big, and we want to make something that is really generational and enduring business. And we decided to raise venture capital.
And you guys do everybody in office, right?
Yeah, most people are in office. Like 80-90% of our team's in office every day.
Why so?
Because we're working together. It's like I think it's kind of crazy that people would want to be staring at a screen and only getting to know people remotely. I think it's just like it's not how people are supposed to operate together. And I mean, during COVID, when Cameron, Sharky, and I weren't in the same spot, I was in Hawaii and they were in Austin, Texas, and we would be hanging out in Zoom calls 24 hours a day. So not 24 hours a day. Every single waking moment, we would be in the call. So we always had each other's presence. And if we needed each other, we could just say, yo, Cam, Sharky, can we talk about this real fast? And nowadays, people are like, email, here's an I'll look at this, I'll review this asynchronously. They come back and the next day they have a question about it. It's like, so nothing got done. When you could have just met synchronously for 5 minutes and gotten it done. Like it's pretty remarkable how much faster things move when it's in person.
Okay, so I feel really weird talking about you guys because I've been here for the last 3 months. I decided to join full time. I'm fully bought into your vision. I think this is going to be one of the biggest companies in the world. And you have been such an interesting leader to observe. Like this is just like, in my mind, like the upper echelon of startups. And you seem like such a natural fit at leading, like all these town halls and how you're navigating all these conversations, all these people. You just juggle so much. So utmost respect to you.
Damn.
Super glad to be here, bro.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
I'm excited to do some marketing.
So sick. Yeah. I am like speechless at how thankful I am to get to work with you, and very honored for what you just said. So I really appreciate it. I think we're gonna have the most fun adventures ever together, and we already have had some hilarious moments. 3 months ago, you were basically redesigning all of our new product, and it's about to be ready. And now it's actually go time. We're gonna tell the world what we built.
Dude, you had
I'm so pumped.
a funny tweet because people are like, talk to your customer, and then you just replying like, hire your customer, and I love that.
Yeah, it's the best, dude. We're like on the same fucking wavelength always,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Like I before this, I was like, look at the brand book and like it's ingrained in my soul. It's
Mm-hmm.
like yeah, we're all the same. It's amazing.
It's just an intuition, and it's just creators for creators, by creators for creators.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're building something special. I'm excited to be a part of it. Thank you for coming on here and sharing this with the world. Thank you for the product you're building. Thank you for doing it for the right reasons. But, dude,
Let's go.
let's go.
Hell yeah.